What is up, Party Jet Sports? Welcome back to the channel. It's one of your hosts, Caleb Gill. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody that celebrates. Make sure you drink responsibly. Today, tonight, whenever you get out there and enjoy your St. Patty's Day festivities, we are recording this on Sunday, March 16th, or also 3/16. So, if you do like the sound of that, give me a hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah!
But it's been about a week of NFL free agency. Once this goes out Monday morning, free agency started. Last Monday, March 10th, at about noon, I believe it was noon, was tampering when that started. So over the last week, we've had plenty of signings. Some good, some not great, some trades. And honestly, free agency has been a little uneventful. There wasn't a lot of good free agents this year. This free agency class was not that good. A lot of teams keeping their own players and retaining their own. Some did a lot better at that than others. But there were some players that hit the open market, as that happens every year. So I'm going to go through today, give my thoughts on some winners, some losers, and some of my other thoughts that I have on free agency for this year. So let's dive right into those winners and losers for this year's free agency. We'll go winner, loser, winner, loser, winner, loser, 3 of each, right? And that first winner that I do have, unfortunately, man, I hate this so much. The Minnesota Vikings. They've been a winner. You cannot knock what the Vikings have done so far this offseason. Yes, they could have kept Sam Darnold, but the money that Sam Darnold got from the Seahawks, you drafted J.J. McCarthy last year in the first round. You do want to get on that. You do want to see, while he's on his rookie deal, this is a time to maximize. This is a time to go out there and try to win a Super Bowl. Win that quarterback's on the rookie deal. So you saw teams with rookie quarterbacks from last year. You saw the Patriots. You saw the Commanders. You saw the Vikings get aggressive and do things in their own way. I thought the Vikings were a big winner. They boosted their interior lines, if it be on the offensive or defensive side, adding both Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave on the defensive line, and then offensively adding Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. What Cam said in our chat that the Vikings needed to do was I don't remember his exact wording, but I think what he said, not verbatim, was they needed to find an offensive line, a center that wasn't a little bitch. I'm pretty sure he used some form of that terminology. And Ryan Kelly, we'll see. I mean, he's been a solid center. He's been around for a little bit. He was back on the Colts when they had Andrew Luck. So he's a seasoned vet. We'll see, but the Vikings attempted to boost their offensive line and defensive line, and that's where you win in this league. Look at what the Eagles, how they won the Super Bowl. It was by winning in the trenches all year. So teams are going to replicate that. The Vikings took a swing at it. The only way, they brought back some of their own guys too. They brought back Byron Murphy. They re-signed Harrison Smith. They traded for Aaron Mason. So now the running back room is Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. It's not a bad running back group, and you could probably add another guy in the draft. This is a loaded running back class that I do hope that Drew and or Dylan is able to get around to discuss at some point, because that's one thing that they really have invested some time in, is understanding that the running back class this year is a huge strength for the draft. So the Vikings could definitely take a swing somewhere there, but I think the only way the Vikings lose this offseason is if they sign Aaron Rodgers, which seems interesting because you have a win-now team, so you kind of want a win-now quarterback, but they let go of Sam Darnold, so it kind of tells you maybe they believe in J.J. McCarthy, or maybe just Sam Darnold wanted a shot elsewhere. Who knows? But I would not. Cam wouldn't be a fan. I know that. if the Vikings signed Rodgers. I don't think that'd be a good fit. I just don't. I just do not think Rodgers is that guy. I'd almost rather develop my young quarterback and see what I got in him and see what we need to do moving forward. By the way, Summer Shandy Elite Beer. If they want to sponsor us in any way, shape, or form, I would not be opposed to that. But yeah, I think the Vikings definitely have won that first week of free agency so far. On the flip side, you look at a team that lost, the 49ers. And they lost because of the amount of players that they lost. They lost Deebo Samuel. They almost lost Kyle Juszczyk, Aaron Banks, Tavarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, Javon Hargrave, who went to the Vikings, Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins, and some of that is, rent is due. And you have a quarterback in Brock Purdy that's about to get paid. But also some of those guys last year, it was a bad year for San Fran in many ways. And, my bad. In many ways, that was a bad year for San Fran. And you look, it was probably worth losing some of those guys. Like Deebo, I think, is at the tail end of his career. But who did the 49ers get to replace those guys? Patrick Taylor, they re-signed. They signed Demarcus Robinson, Luke Farrell. Like, they didn't. Jason Pinnock. They signed a couple guys. Mac Jones as Brock Purdy's backup. A lot of people thought Mac Jones was going to be the 49ers pick that year anyway, so it's kind of funny that worked out. Kind of like Justin Fields and the Jets, actually. Not quite, but the 49ers are just in a tough spot right now. Because they went all in. They did. They were right there. They were, if they just score on third down in overtime, who knows? Like, we're not looking at this the same way if they win that game against the Chiefs, but ultimately, rent comes due, and your talented stars are getting older, getting more hurt. Like, now I know a follower of the channel, Jamal McKinney, has brought this up to me. I saw a TikTok where they mentioned this earlier. It might be time to trade Christian McCaffrey. Especially, you look at the running back class. You look at Kyle Shanahan and how he uses running backs, and you might get some value for Christian McCaffrey if you trade him now. So you're looking, and it's like, man, I don't know. It's tough. It sucks for the 49ers right now. I'm a big Brock Purdy believer, but right now, he doesn't really have anybody to throw to. It's not a good team. And this is a year that they could take advantage of some weaker spots in the NFC West. And they're just not. They're just not in that spot to where they can take advantage. Instead, the rest of the NFC West is looking at the Niners and it's like, all right, well, King's down. We have taken them down, and now it's our time to shine. And one of those teams that's looking and thinking it's our time to shine is the Rams, which I think is a winner this year. And they didn't make a lot of moves, but I think you look again, some of these winners losers, they win because of what happened outside of their control. So like the Rams, they're a winner because of the rest of the NFC West. They're a winner because the 49ers are going to digress again. They're not going to pick back up where they were 2 years ago. They might look similar to how they were last year. The Cardinals, there's still question marks there. Is Kyler the guy? Like, if you're the Rams, I don't think you're scared of the Cardinals. The Seahawks, they went from Geno Smith and DK Metcalf to Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp. Like, is that an upgrade? Is that a downgrade? Without improving the offensive line, the Seahawks, one thing Geno really helped with there in Seattle was make the offensive line not look nearly as bad as it was. Like, he was able, his pocket presence is a lot better than what Sam's is. Sam crumbles. That's just, even go back to last year. Like, his pocket presence, when the pocket starts to collapse, it's when Sam is prone to mistakes. He was like that still in Minnesota. So, that's one thing Geno was better at. And the Seahawks really didn't improve the offensive line. Maybe there's still chance. There's still time. It could still happen. But, I mean, is that an upgrade? So if you're the Rams, it's like, all right, we got Matthew Stafford back. We got Devontae Adams, who still has juice in him. He can stay healthy. And he's probably a better receiver at this point than Cooper Kupp. Like, yeah, Stafford and Kupp had that connection, but I think Devontae Adams showed last year when he was on the Jets that he still can be that guy. Him and Puka Nacua, they're going to be fun. They're going to be a lot of fun together. They added Puna 4 to help boost the interior defensive line. I think if you're the Rams, you're looking, it's like, all right, we can win this division. We're not really scared of anybody. So they're a winner because of being able to retain Matthew Stafford by swapping out Devontae Adams for Cooper Kupp, as tough of a decision as that was. And with the rest of the division not really taking a leap. Instead, maybe they set themselves back. So I think the Rams are a big winner in free agency, even though they didn't add a lot. And you don't have to add a lot. Like the Patriots. I think they're a loser. Yes, and honestly, I get it. I get some of the hesitation to believe what I say when it comes to teams like the Patriots, the Bills, and the Dolphins. Because again, yes, I'm a Jets fan. But I'm also an NFL fan. I watch the game. I watch and follow multiple teams. Maybe not as much as I do the Jets. Maybe not as closely. But I'm an NFL fan. So with that being said, I think I can give some input on if the Patriots are actually winners or losers in free agency and not be biased. And I'm not a fan. If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm not looking at what they spent on free agency and thinking, wow, we really hit it out of the park. We really got Drake May set up for success. Like, who's Drake May throwing to? They didn't do anything to help their young quarterback. They didn't. I mean, there was all these rumors, like, are they going to go after T. Higgins? Are they going to go after DK Metcalf? Devontae Adams? Nothing. Granted, like, some of that is out of the Patriots' control. But if Patriots fans were heading into this offseason thinking, like, they were going to be big players, and you go out and get Mac Hollins, and that's your threat? Is Mac Hollins? For your rookie quarterback, that is the best you could do. Like, that's not impressive. And they spent a lot of money. They went out and they spent. They spent on Morgan Moses, which, as a Jets fan, it hurt. But, I mean, nobody else was giving him a 3-year, $24 million deal that's worth up to $28.5 million. Like, nobody else was giving him that. The Patriots overspent. Harold Landry. Granted, he's a Mike Vrabel guy from Tennessee, but who was giving Harold Landry 3 years, $43.5 million? Milton Williams. Solid defensive player for the Eagles. But Carlton Davis, a 3-year, $60 million. Like, you look, yeah, they had some money, so they spent it recklessly, is what it felt like. They weren't smart with how they spent their money. They added a offensive tackle that can start. The rest of the offensive line, like, they still need linemen. Their center retired or left. David Andrews is not a Patriot. And who was Drake May throwing to? If I'm a Patriots fan, which I'm not happy. I'm not thrilled with the way this free agency class, this first week of free agency, has gone. Now, a lot of these winners, losers, that can change. You know, you never know what trades, what other moves are out there to be made. You just don't. But as of 3/16,
Give me a hell yeah!
hell yeah, the Patriots just don't look that good. It doesn't look like they made the additions to take that leap to the next level with Drake May. It just doesn't look like they did that. The Bears, on the other hand, did. So the Bears are my third winner. They beefed up their offensive line. They are trying to help Caleb Williams, their rookie quarterback. They traded for Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney. Granted, there's a reason those teams are willing to let them go, but still, you're trying. You went out, you signed Drew Dolman, the top center on the market. So now, your interior offensive line upgraded. And when you had one of the worst offensive lines in football, Caleb Williams does make that offensive line look a little bit worse, with holding on to the ball, some of that, but they did need to desperately upgrade the offensive line. Now you go into the draft, and it's like, all right, at pick 10, we don't have to take a lineman. In my mock draft, I had the Bears taking Ashton Genty. Now, that's if he even lasts at 10. Like, Cam in our mock draft had Genty going to the Raiders, which I'm starting to see a little bit more and more of that, so I got to give credit where it's due. I think Cam started that, the Genty to the Raiders. But if you're the Bears at 10, it's like, all right, let's take a fun offensive piece here. And now you're in a spot to do that. They also added Grady Jarrett to the defensive front. I think the biggest win for the Bears is just proving that they are going in on trying to protect Caleb Williams and add weapons, give him, not weapons, but pieces to protect him. They want this to be different than Mitch Trubisky, Justin Fields, and every other quarterback the Bears have failed throughout their history. They're trying to make things different. And if Caleb Williams fails, you would rather it be Williams' fault, not the Bears' fault. And it looks like the Bears are trying to make that the case here. I went back and forth on this third one. Honorable mention to the Lions as a loser, not because of who they got and who they didn't get, but simply just because of Vikings and the Bears improved the way that they did. The Lions are an honorable mention for loser after the first week of free agency, and just the NFC North is going to be a bloodbath. It is. But I got another North team heading to the AFC side. No, not the Steelers. The Browns. I think they're a loser. Granted, they've been a loser ever since they've come back. But the Browns, you look, it's like, all right, cool, they paid Myles Garrett. But maybe they shouldn't have. Because Myles Garrett is still, he's at that point in his career where you could have gotten a decent haul. The Browns should be looking to rebuild. They should have traded Myles Garrett instead. And that might hurt. That might not be a popular opinion amongst Browns fans. I don't know. But it probably would have been smarter for the Browns to trade Myles Garrett and try getting a haul back so that they can start that rebuild. It was probably just in their best interest. And they didn't. Instead, they gave him the keys and said, let's ride. And maybe, that ride is going to bring Russ along with them. But the other thing I hated that the Browns did, they need a quarterback. So you get former Steelers first-round draft pick, Super Bowl winning quarterback, if I might add, Kenny Pickett. That's your big splash? Is trading for Kenny Pickett? Come on, man. What are we doing here? It's like Andrew Berry wants to get fired. And I wouldn't necessarily blame him. But I'm just not thrilled. If I'm the Browns, I'm not thrilled with what they've done. It's uninspiring. You've lost guys like Nick Chubb and It's just bad teams will do bad things, and you're kind of in no man's land right now. You're kind of in hell. You're still in hell, essentially, if you're the Browns. You haven't done anything to really even make your way up to purgatory after a week. Like, you're still sitting there in hell. So those 3 winners are the Vikings, Bears, and Rams, and the 3 losers are the 49ers, the Patriots, and the Browns, with honorable mention to the Lions. Now, to kind of wrap this episode up, I did kind of want to touch on quarterbacks a little bit. It is interesting seeing the movement. Shit. My bad. Funny bone. Ain't so funny. It is interesting to see the movement of quarterbacks. Like Geno Smith going to Vegas. I like that move for the Raiders. Good veteran. As Pete Carroll, Tom Brady, they try to put their stamp on that franchise. Sam Darnold going to the Seahawks. I thought there were better options for Sam. Like, he should have gone to Pittsburgh. Like, the Steelers should have tried harder for Sam, or Sam should have tried harder for the Steelers. The Steelers are kind of sitting in no man's land right now. Like, sorry. I've heard the term, like, musical chairs kind of thrown around. Like, the Steelers have in this game of musical chairs. Well, the point of musical chairs is to be that last team, or that last person standing. You want to be the last person sitting in the chair at the end of musical chairs. It's not really the case here when it comes to quarterbacks. Like, the Steelers are they're the ones left at the dance without a dance partner right now. Like, there's no other options left. Maybe there's a number 2, or like a 2 out of 10 sitting in the corner that you're just kind of like, well, give me a couple more of these and we'll go dancing. Like, that's kind of where the Steelers are at right now, where you're looking at your options and it's not pretty. You're being held hostage by 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. A quarterback that the Browns probably wouldn't, but sorry, I'm thinking of bad teams, talking about bad teams. A quarterback that the Jets are paying to not even be on their team is holding both the Giants and the Steelers hostage right now. Steelers fans are in a spot where it's like, just bring Russ back. But I don't think Russ is coming back. From one of the reports I saw, it sounds like the Steelers told players in their exit interviews that Russ isn't coming back. So if that's the case, who do you have left? They brought Joe Flacco in. Maybe by the time this episode drops, there will be the next domino will fall. Excuse me. I just don't see that being the case. Because Aaron Rodgers is going to take a sweet old time. He wants to be a Viking. Sorry. He wants to be a Viking so bad. And I can't say I blame him. They give him the best chance to win. But do the Vikings want him? That's why I said earlier, like, the Vikings go from winner to loser if they bring in Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers, Rodgers makes sense, but he's not a great option. He's just not that good guy. And I cannot continue to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Talked a lot about Rodgers lately. Him just not being that guy anymore. But if you're the Steelers or the Giants, like the Giants, you have a path. If you don't land Rodgers, you have the 3rd pick in the draft. You give up a king's ransom to move up to 1 and draft Cam Ward. Like that's your backup option. And honestly, you should be probably considering doing that anyways. If you're the Steelers, Mason Rudolph is your backup right now. Actually, he's not even your backup. He's your starter. It's him and Skylar Thompson. Joe Flacco? Carson Wentz? Marcus Mariota? Dylan mentioned Jackson Dart or Joe Milton on his Steelers episode that I dropped a couple days ago. Like, it is dark hours for the Steelers right now. And that's kind of what you get when you bench your quarterback that went 4-2. And I know there's a lot of I've seen Dylan talk about like Justin Fields and like why the Steelers couldn't bring Fields back, and ultimately, I think, in my opinion, I feel like he was disrespected, or he felt disrespected by the Steelers, and it was going to take a lot for him to come back. You know, he was benched for Russ. Russ was not performing, and they didn't give Fields another chance. It was, once Russ was healthy, it no matter what, like, Fields was never going to be the guy. And that's not fair. Like, they gave up on him. So I can't blame Fields for moving on. Like, I don't think it was necessarily a Steelers decision to let Fields walk as much as it was a Fields decision to walk and test the open market. And he landed in New York. And I'm excited. It's a good spot for him. I think it's a good spot for the Jets. You get a decent bridge guy, and maybe you can get something out of him that the Steelers or the Bears didn't. You know, he's worth the flyer. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do moving forward. Like, if, say hypothetically, Rodgers chooses the Giants, or the Vikings do take on Rodgers, or he just retires. Like, that's still a possibility. What do the Steelers do? They are screwed. And that's where we're going to end this episode. Again, happy Patrick's Day, everybody. Hell yeah, here on 316. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel. We'll get more draft content out. That's going to be a lot of our feed, I'd imagine, these next couple of weeks. A lot of draft content. And we'll just keep that rolling as we get closer and closer to the draft. First week of free agency pretty much in the books already, so not much more we can discuss. It's not like it was an eventful free agency to begin with. Not a lot happened. Not a lot of exciting things happened. Still waiting for a few dominoes to drop. And if they drop for any of us here at Party Chat Sports, we'll make sure to hop on and get something up for you. But until next time, make sure you watch us, follow us, tell anyone that you know that loves football as much as we do to check us out at Party Chat Sports. We're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. We are wherever you get your podcasts. So stay tuned, listen, like, subscribe. And until next time.
That's the bottom line for Stone Cold Success.
Hell yeah, brother. Cheers. Happy 316. Peace.